Part two of American Moon NASA Examined. This is a reaction video to the documentary that was entitled American Moon, and which contains stern warnings about anybody that would dare use any of their footage, even if they're using it in a legal way. They would put copyright strikes, hexes, curses. Well, they might not have said that, but all of that kind of stuff. You get what I'm saying. So I just decided we'll do our own little thing and we'll talk about it our own way. And the question that we're really asking is, did we go to the moon? American Moon, NASA Examined, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to look at it. And we are going to continue on. It's the second episode of this. And we will run very quickly through, as I see everybody filling in on the chat room. Nice to see you here. We'll run quickly through as a review from the last episode. We're not having great luck, but we're going to continue to press on. And we were just talking about reviewing the information from the first episode of American Moon NASA Examined. And we're going to still try to do that. It looks like we might be facing some gremlins, which I guess isn't really that surprising when you start talking about information that is of this import. And that's okay. We'll press through with pride and we'll get through and we'll deliver this information, and you can decide what you want to do with this information. I'm not really coming at you with, here's an answer. I'm coming at you more with, here's something to consider, and here's something that is worthy of your thought and purposeful consideration. And let's try this again and see if we can take a look at part two of American Moon. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. Welcome to the channel. We're so glad to see you here. And let's try this one more time and see what happens. So, boom. Here we are. NASA Examined. American Moon. Oh, instead of part one, this is part two, but I'm not going to change that. We're all friends here. And just by way of review, what the heck are we talking about, ladies and gentlemen? I spent 39 years assuming that NASA's right. I'm being dialectic, and now I'm assuming that NASA's wrong. This all started off with the French film Journey to the Moon. I found that the NASA moon launch sequence from liftoff to splashdown and ticker tapes strangely followed the Malise film. We also noticed that Malise, when added one space, is me lies. So NASA, me lies, and more, an investigation. We're looking at the evidence. We're asking you to evaluate it on your own. In 61, JFK promised the moon. We hadn't even sent a man into full Earth orbit yet. NASA had everything they needed to fake it. The race was on. In 1961, Yuri Gagarin became the first human in space. JFK wanted to beat the Russians. JFK gave the money. Here's another one. It's the newsreel We got me lies, and then we got it's described by Joe King or joking. So President Kennedy, up until the day he died, thought that putting a man on the moon was a stunt, not worth the billions. Was Kennedy gonna scuttle the moon mission? Did it have anything to do with his assassination? Meanwhile, in Russia, the father of the Russian space program dies during routine hemorrhoid surgery. So the two biggest obstacles to the NASA moon missions both died unexpectedly. A more suspicious person might say that they were eliminated. Then there were deaths and destruction and explosions on both sides from both Roscosmos and NASA. In 1967, NASA concluded there's no way we can go. Then we had the Apollo 1 tragedy with White, Grissom, and Chaffee. And I received a email today, I believe, from Mr. Savarini, and he said these guys were burned up. And in a somewhat cryptic but accurate commentary said, these guys burned to a crisp. Think of those names: White, Grissom, Chaffee. White, gritty, chaff, almost seemingly words associated with something being burned to a crisp. Yet another thing that makes you go, The Apollo program was suspended in 1967. A director said they'd be very lucky to get it done. And then 3 months before the moon mission, the deputy director quits, the director quits, Wally Schirra, the original astronaut, quit. Why? Is NASA a left-hand organization? Why are these guys shaking left hands? Talked about the left-hand path being equated with black magic or shamanism. NASA certainly could be involved in deceit and trickery. Chris Kraft, head of NASA Mission Control, said that they would have quit if it wasn't for the commitment they made. Did they decide to quit? Did they decide to fake it? The public pressure from Disney and everyone else was huge. Simulators were so good, they could have made a moon mission out of just with the simulators, and we'd have never known the difference. Bill Casing, father of the moon hoax theory, said that the reason he thought NASA faked it is because it was technologically impossible to go. He was a U.S. Navy veteran, officers training school, worked for Rocketdyne, the people that built the engines for the Apollo rockets, I believe the Saturn V and the command module. I could be wrong, but I believe the Saturn V. He wrote a book that said we never went to the moon. Rocketdyne scientists told him we might be able to get there. No way we'd get back. And then the big problem with the Van Allen radiation belts. That brings you up to current, I believe, in what we've been talking about. And now we can start talking about what we're going to talk about tonight. Let me go ahead and get this off of the screen so we can see clearly. My bad. Sorry about that. So let's go into part 2 now of the American moon. NASA examined, and I tried to get this book. We never went to the moon, but it's hard to get, and it's like $50. So I did not buy the paperback for $50. I just didn't do it. So some of Mr. Casing's arguments were that NASA lacked the technical expertise to put a man on the moon, no stars and lunar surface photographs, and we're going to get into this a lot more in detail, unexplained optical anomalies, absence of blast craters beneath the lunar modules. It should have generated an enormous cloud of dust. Death of the quality control and safety inspector for NASA. Dutch newspapers had questioned the authority or the authenticity of the moon landings. And one of the main NASA questioners says, and he's right, you don't send a man where you've never sent a monkey. Now, researchers, folks, continually point to the Van Allen belts as the reason why NASA could not have gone and still cannot go. We'll talk about that a lot tonight. Currently, NASA admits, the Orion project admits, that they can't send humans through the Van Allen belts until they develop the technology to screen them. It's funny how they sent them through there from 68 to 72, no problem. NASA has now made available the photos and videos from the moon missions and statements in this examination, ladies and gentlemen, on photographic evidence is based upon these official NASA videos, these official NASA pictures. So I want you to know that we're not talking about anything other than what NASA has shown us. And while we're in this, I'm reminding you that Mystech will return you to the Schumann resonance of planet Earth, the original ideal Schumann resonance of planet Earth. It puts you back in harmony with your mother. It keeps your cells in harmony instead of chaos. I wear them. I love them. And we have blood test proof on the site of how well they work on my site, www.jeffreydaugherty.com. Go there. When you order through my site, you get 20% off. I need your name. I need your address. Your phone number would be nice just in case things go wrong. And I also need what you want, what size you want, what color you want. Please, no exceptions, because even though I can remote view, I don't want to have to remote view to get your address. So Mystech, ladies and gentlemen, is amazing, and I encourage you to take advantage of it. And that's why we advertise it, because it is absolutely great stuff. And we really, really appreciate Halo and the rest of the folks at Mystech. They are great people, and we appreciate them very, very much. So let's go ahead and continue on with our talk here today, folks. It's just more than you can sometimes process, but we're going to try anyway. So there are many debunkers, meaning debunkers of the idea that we didn't go to the moon. So there are a lot of people that say we didn't go to the moon, and here's the leading people that say we did go to the moon, and they try to debunk the people that say we didn't go to the moon. Phil Plait, Jim Oberg. Jim, you're going to be on, we're going to have your picture taken today for publicity. Make sure you wear a good shirt. And he shows up in a t-shirt. I don't understand people sometimes. Paulo Atavissimo. Now, he's an official NASA spokesperson. Then you got your Mythbuster guys, and then Jay Windley. So we're going to look now at evidence provided by the leading moon hoax debunkers. And we're going to look at what they say, and we're going to subject it to dialectic scrutiny. So this should be a lot of fun. So number one reason that the debunkers come up with is, well, man, if we had faked it, the Russians would have busted us out. Well, think about it for a minute. The Russians lost the race. The Russians hated us. It was the Cold War. Would anyone have believed the Russians, who were the losers, or would they have been thoroughly laughed at? You've also got to remember that by 72, détente, or the thawing of the Cold War, was in full motion between the United States and the USSR. In fact, in 72, President Nixon signed a space cooperation pact, and it was also co-signed by, I believe, Brezhnev at the time, Leonid Brezhnev, Soviet leader. There was many cultural exchange programs. There was a specific one between the astronauts and the cosmonauts. We went over there to Roscosmos and sat in their ships and ate their food. They came over here and did the same thing. We actually had a joint orbital mission. So the Russians didn't expose NASA because they didn't want to look like losers. And there was much more, a lot of money, a lot of prestige, and a lot of geopolitical stuff going on that would have prevented the Russians from busting us out. It's maybe not a perfect answer, but it's as good an answer as an assumption that we had to go, or the Russians would have told everybody. Why didn't one of the 400,000 NASA employees say something? You know, Wayne brought this up on our Sunday show a few weeks ago. Somebody that he knows worked in NASA, so he knows NASA's real. And that's a very, very emotional tie. And it's actually a great argument for the fact, or for the idea, that we faked the moon missions. See, what NASA did is they split all of their projects between thousands of workers across the country. The knowledge was highly compartmentalized. They used over 20,000 contracting companies who also used contracting companies, who also used contracted companies, so much so that every single state in the United States had workers working on NASA projects. Think about that for a minute, ladies and gentlemen. What's one of the best ways to get people to be emotionally involved, emotionally dedicated to the idea of NASA? How about having almost everybody have a mother, brother, sister, brother, aunt, uncle, cousin that worked for NASA and has this deep emotional tie? My aunt, brother, sister, mother, cousin worked for NASA. They're a good person. So NASA has to be telling the truth. It's actually a great argument against NASA having gone to the moon because they set up this network of plausible deniability. And let's face it, folks, only the top managers needed to know. I spent 7 years in the United States Air Force. I understand the compartmentalization of information. I understand the chain of command. And when you think about it, folks, only a very, very few people would have to know. And if you could intercept the TV signal and direct the TV signal, that would be all that there was needed to control all of the information about the moon launch. And supposedly there was a signal that came back in. They took it and distributed it to the networks. What if they just took that and distributed to the networks, something that they themselves created and didn't come from the moon at all? We're going to talk about that in much more detail. Let's press on. And this is another thing that Wayne brought up. Wayne is very thorough, and I appreciate that because it causes me to do more research. Physical evidence for the moon landing, the lunar reflector, man. And Mythbusters famously proved that this lunar reflector was there. And the idea is that the boys, when they were up on the moon, they left this thing there. And only because that thing is there, ladies and gentlemen, whoops, I am not sharing the screen with you. I just noticed my error. I'm not used to making errors, so sometimes it takes me a while to believe that I'm actually making an error. So I don't really think about it, so I don't correct it. But here we go. Let's correct the error, and let's see what the hell I'm talking about. Here's the lunar retro reflector. And the idea is that you could not bounce a laser, yet you can bounce a laser off this thing, and it'll return the laser to Earth. And only because this thing is there is that possible. And this thing was put there in somewhere between 68 and 72. Funny thing, though, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology bounced a laser signal off the moon in 1962, long before the lunar retro reflector was on the moon, allegedly. In 1966, National Geographic reported, according to one of their own experiments, that even small lasers could accomplish the same thing. Add to that the fact that the Soviets also sent reflectors into space with unmanned probes. And the Soviets did the same did the same lunar laser return experiments themselves. So number one, you don't have to have a reflector on the moon to get a laser return. Number two, the fact that you can get a laser return before this thing was put up there means that it doesn't necessarily mean this thing was there. And even if the thing is there, the Soviet cosmonauts proved, the Soviet Space Agency proved that you can send these lunar reflectors, these lunar retroreflectors to the moon in unmanned probes. That's pretty interesting. Well, Jeff, what about the moon rocks? Well, the moon rocks could have just as easily been meteorites. There's been many missions to Antarctica where they have collected meteorites. And you know what? Strangely enough, Werner von Braun himself led a team of NASA scientists up to Antarctica or down to Antarctica, and they collected a bunch of moon rocks prior to our Apollo moon missions. I'm sure that's a total incomplete coincidence. Not only that, moon rocks can be easily faked by irradiating rocks right here on planet Earth. And many of the rocks are fake, just like the one that the astronauts gave to a Dutch museum. Somebody at the museum must have been bored. They tested the rock, turned out to be a piece of petrified wood and not lunar petrified wood. And ladies and gentlemen, even if the rocks are 100% real, guess what? The Soviets have brought back rocks from unmanned probes. Wow. The Soviets have brought back rocks from unmanned probes. If you feel like you got rocks in your head sometimes, you feel like you're being weighted down by rocks, go to jeffreydaugherty.com and get yourself on the Fluffy program. Fluffy beams a more enlightening, a higher consciousness field to your home, to your phone. You feel fantastic. Food tastes better. Food is assimilated better. And you are literally living in a high consciousness environment. You tell me if that is better for you to be in that or to not be in that. You decide. It's up to you. But you do get 15 days free on the home, 15 days free on the phone, a total of 30 days free. Go to jeffreydaugherty.com, click on the Fluffy logo, and experience something very, very profound. So the next argument by the debunkers is, you know what? Those movie sets, if they shot this on a movie set, they'd just be way too big, way too hard to build. Way too large to fake. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what's called a red herring. It would actually be very, very easy for these sets to be built, and they have been done on already many movies right here on planet Earth. So to say that it can't be done is absolutely wrong. And if you do notice, all of the NASA landscapes have a continuous separation line from left to right, which makes it very easy to use a green screen. Now, either they landed on a plateau in the middle of a valley or a plateau that was higher than everything else, or it was done on a set via green screen. And there's also many miniatures and models that are often used. And even the most ardent NASA supporter says it looks like there were times in pictures and in videos and even in relation to the moon landings that NASA may in fact have used models. So folks, the idea that the sets were too large to fake, it's a preposterous idea. It's a red herring. It's very, very easy to do. It's been done since it was the technology to do it then was very, very possible. Very, very available. And we will get into that as we continue on with more news of this investigation. We have probes that have sent photos of the landing sites, Jeff. Yes, we do. But what they show is not conclusive. Those photos could have been easily photoshopped, something NASA admits to doing, photoshopping. The Japanese probe Kaguya, NASA had already sent its own probes, which allowed it to create a perfect model of the moon, which is pictured as surrounded by a circular rail. Think about that for a minute. Let me make this more clear. The Japanese probe Kaguya went up there and took pictures and did a scan of the lunar surface. And some of the debunkers say, well, it looks exactly like Japan said it would, like Japan's photo shows it looked. Well, that's not that surprising because the U.S. had already sent up its own probes. And the U.S. used those probes to create a perfect model of the moon. There is a perfect model, a globe, if you will, a moon globe. And they've even got a half moon globe for certain areas of the landing sites. And it is so exact and so detailed that it can be used to simulate moon missions. And in fact, it's got a circular rail around it, which is perfect for putting a camera on and moving it around in a circle, simulating missions. If you look at the picture there, one of those pictures is from the real quote unquote moon landing. One of those pictures is from the simulator. You tell me which is which. Think about that for a minute. And this one to me is huge. Google decided they were going to give away a prize. I think it was $30 million for anybody that could send a probe to the moon and have it go around and visit some of the NASA landing sites. And there was an extra $4 million prize if you could actually take live streaming video from a NASA landing site. What a great idea, right? What a fantastic idea. It was a great idea right up until NASA decided to institute a 2-kilometer no-fly zone, a 2-kilometer restricted area around all of the Apollo landing sites. Wait a minute. Let me get this right. Guys are going to go to the moon to prove that the moon hoaxers are wrong, to prove that the landing sites are up there, and we're going to show it all on live video. You think NASA would be jumping up and down, doing somersaults, saying it's a great idea? Instead, NASA puts the kibosh on it and says, no, you can't go within 2 kilometers of our landing sites. Why? Why? What are they trying to hide? Oh, we want to protect the site so that nobody messes them up. Really? You want to protect the sites so nobody messes them up so you can protect them from never being seen? It doesn't make any sense, ladies and gentlemen. And what else doesn't make sense is that all of the companies that applied to do this just said, oh, shucks, okay, no problem, NASA. $34 million in prizes. They willingly forfeit. They're like, no big deal. Why? Why? Makes you wonder if NASA didn't pay those people some money just to keep them quiet. Why would NASA forbid people, private citizens, from going and looking at the NASA supposed landing sites? You tell me if you got a good answer. I'll be coming in the chat room in just a minute. Something is foul in the state of Denmark. Something does not add up, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at some evidence against the lunar landings. We've looked at the evidence for the lunar landings and examined it. Let's look at some evidence against the lunar landings. What do you say? Exhibit number 1's got to be the Van Allen radiation belts. To this day, folks, all other NASA missions have stayed below the Van Allen belts in low Earth orbit. All of the Gemini, all of the Mercury, all of the space shuttles, the ISS, Skylab, all of that beneath the level of the Van Allen radiation belts. Think about that. Only, ladies and gentlemen, only the Apollo astronauts have ever gone through the Van Allen radiation belts. Only the Apollo astronauts have ever gone through the Van Allen radiation belts. This area is said to be deadly to humans, even in a rapid transit. And in 1960, it was beyond our technology to create shielding and protection for humans to be able to transit the Van Allen radiation belts. Then all of a sudden, they turned into the amazing disappearing Van Allen radiation belts. Because with no new technology development, and without so much as sending a monkey through the belts, NASA decided to send men through the Van Allen belts. The problem magically disappeared. It was as if nothing was wrong on Apollo 8 as they flew right through the Van Allen radiation belts. Not one mention was made at all of the Van Allen radiation belts, ladies and gentlemen. And debunkers actually told a lie. Clavis is one of the guys. He's got a website, Clavis Moonbase, I think it's called. Antissimo or Artissimo, whatever the NASA shill. I mean, the official NASA debunker claims that they took this 30-degree exit out of Earth to avoid the most of the Van Allen radiation belts. When NASA itself, and I'm going to let you look this up for yourself, shows their trajectory is straight exactly through the middle of the Van Allen radiation belts. Every single Apollo that went didn't go on this trajectory like the debunkers say. NASA said, well, the debunkers say it went this way. NASA said, boom, straight through. So you get to decide who you want to believe, ladies and gentlemen. But to me, it's getting harder and harder to believe the official narrative about what actually happened and about did we go or didn't we go. It gets harder and harder for me to believe it. And what better time than to talk about the rocket, ladies and gentlemen? Our virility is under assault. Our sexuality is under assault. Relationships between men and women are under assault. Men's fertility is under assault. We're fighting back with the rocket. It costs $500. You need 12 of these treatments to do it in the clinic. Right now, you can get the rocket for the less than the price of one of these treatments and give yourself as many treatments as you need. Clear out the plaque from the blood vessels. Create new capillaries. More blood flow means more rocket fuel. If you know what I'm talking about, cousins. Let's make men great again. Let's make women great again. Let's make sex great again. And let's make human virility and human fertility great again. Go to jeffreydaugherty.com, click on the rocket logo, and get ready for liftoff, brothers and sisters. So the debunkers lie. And this is more NASA magic, ladies and gentlemen. Despite going through the heart of the Van Allen radiation belts with no new shielding technology, NASA data showed no significant radiation exposure to the astronauts. NASA called the radiation dosages negligible. So apparently the problem was solved then. So why is Orion still struggling with this problem now? Orion says that the Van Allen radiation belts are dangerous. Orion says today that this challenge must be solved before they send humans through this region of space. Did the Orion guys miss a memo? Do they not know that people already went to space and went through this region? NASA, you got some explaining to do. Up until 1968, the Van Allen radiation belts were very dangerous, quote unquote. From 1968 to 1972, suddenly the Van Allen radiation belts are no longer dangerous. They're only negligible danger. And now, as we're trying to go to the moon and Mars and beyond with the Orion project, the Van Allen radiation belts are now again very dangerous. Dangerous? Not dangerous, dangerous. Dangerous, not dangerous, dangerous. NASA, you got some splaining to do. And I am no longer satisfied with what you jokers are telling me. And as we round the corner and begin to head for home on this version, are we lemmings, LEM, the lunar module? Look at this thing. Cynthia has stood next to this thing in the Smithsonian, and she actually asked the guy, this thing went to the moon? And he's like, oh, yeah. Ay, ay, ay. The lunar module is laughable in its construction. It's complete with tape. There's tape on the outside of something that went through space. Tape. Looks like Scotch tape. But the debunkers say, no, no, no. Tape is better than rivets because it's lightweight. Only one problem. The lem's full of rivets too. And the panels, look at, you need to do your own research. Look at pictures of the lunar module. The panels, they don't even line up. They're all bent ass up. And I was a crew chief on a C-130. We didn't let a C-130 take off unless the panels were all flush. I've replaced panels because they were out of alignment. And you look at pictures of this thing. I should have shown you some of these, but I don't want to spoon feed you everything. These panels are they're warped. They're not smooth. They would be ripped off if it was in a regular C-130 type flight. But these people went to the moon, Mach whatever. And miraculously, the LEM survived. Are we lemmings? It's laughable. There's no way it went to the moon. There's no way this piece of junk went to the moon. And even if it did go to the moon, why aren't there any blast hollows under the rocket cone when it landed on the moon? Well, the debunkers say it landed on rocky volcanic soil with very little powder. Neil Armstrong, who walked on the damn moon, said it was covered with fine-grained sand. Apollo 14 said it was 6 inches deep in soil. We see the blast during the descent. We see it blasting stuff out. But once it's landing, once it's sitting there, not one little bit of anything blown out of the way, and there's still tiny pebbles sitting there on top, undisturbed. Go outside with your leaf blower and blow it on some dirt and see what happens. The LEM is magic. It landed without even moving a pebble. Magic, ladies and gentlemen. Incredible, amazing magic, NASA. Incredible, amazing magic, NASA, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. That is all of my data for part 2 of American Moon. And again, I ask you, having looked at that, ladies and gentlemen, American Moon, NASA examined, I ask you again, did we go to the moon? Did we go to the moon? Let's continue on with American Moon, NASA examined. And let's go into the chat room. You've been sitting there patiently for a long time. I've been rattling on for 38, almost 39 minutes. And Dude Media, hey, dude, he's trying out the Fluffy. I hope you enjoy it. I think you really will. A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon is a great documentary, says Stephanie McGuire. I've heard good things about it. Runaway Train says I would have worked for von Braun as well if I was ignorant to his past as well. So he knew about von Braun's Nazi past, decided not to work with him. The front door is covered in NASA tiles. It's owned by a man named James Graft. I'm not sure what Delaney's talking about, but it's nice to see you. Bruce Sees All is filming the moon most nights and filming objects moving across it with an atmosphere and plenty of color. Very, very interesting stuff. Let's see what else we got. If we went to the moon, why aren't we there now? Good question. Good question. There's no probe, says Bavarian Winch. She's super duper hardcore. What? That's crazy. Call Elon Musk. I bet that we're there, but us plebes aren't kept in the loop if we are. That's another discussion. But what they showed us, there's no damn way. Google called them out. Peter James says, wow, that is a surprise, but it really actually happened. Yes, send another Tesla up there and screw up the green screen. Oh yeah, the chapstick. That was terrible green screen with the Tesla car. That face on the Mars, I put that there. It says RVS with some little funny. I said Google, and my phone thought I was going to say call mom or something like that. They sent a videographer up first. Right, exactly. How stupid, Robert Hillnom says, have we been? Everything's a lie. Then we find another lie. And they're lying to us. And how long are we going to let them lie to us? Harry Christie says it's all a farce. And this is interesting. Neil A. Backwards Alien. Van Allen Belts. How did they figure out to get through? Well, the funny thing is they figured out how to get through, but then they forgot how to get through. Wow. Dumb and Dumber called them out. Yeah, Coneheads called them out. The Minions, those little green, yellow guys, called them out. James Bond has called them out. Street King, thank you for protecting us out there, says in a word, it's bullshit, and I agree. Reluctantly, I agree. Chapstick says we landed on the moon. I don't know if he's joking or not, but hey. Oh, this is interesting. Holly Lingle says the Van Allen radiation belts are the firmament. Holly, I don't think they line up with what most people's concept of the firmament is. It's like a dome or a hard covering. The Van Allen belts are not, they're just radiation. They're just energy. There's no actual thing. It's just a belt of energy. So I don't know if you can make that argument. I mean, you can make any argument you want, but I don't think that argument is going to fly very well. Yeah, this is one of those debunker arguments that you can dodge them. You can't dodge them. You got to know when to hold them. You got to know when to fold them. What's the one you can dodge them, you can duck them? That's another song like that. But yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that. Greg Gutfield called out the stage of moon landing on the 5. I don't watch that show. I think I've heard Cynthia talk about the 5. Let's see. They used the Stargate to go to the moon. Yeah, where are they hiding that thing, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, Running with the Devil? No, I was thinking of Good Times. You got to dodge them. You got to duck them. You got to keep that sucker trucking. You got to put that hammer down and give him hell. Eastbound and down, loaded up and trucking. We gonna do what they say can't be done. Jerry Reed. Ha ha! Yeah. That's what he said. Dodge him, duck him. But anyway, you can't do that with the Van Allen radio belts. Ladies and gentlemen, I want some NASA tech for my ski goggles. Perfect. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Tracy's talking about the rocket, I think. Boom. Let's see. Van Allen and Valhalla. That's an interesting correlation. Gunner says no one can go to the moon. It's starting to look that way. It's starting to look that way to me. Holly likes Van Halen better than she likes Van Allen. That's funny. Les has a very simple explanation. That's because it's all bullshit. Thank you very much, The Rich. He loves the show. NASA admitted that they must figure out how to get through the belt. Shake my damn head. If you knew in 72, 16, 71, 69, 70, 68, then how come you don't know now how to do it? I just don't understand, ladies and gentlemen. This is old, but it bears repeating again. And space can't be a vacuum because propulsion from a jet engine wouldn't work. I don't know about that. I haven't studied that through, but you're a smart guy. We'll put that up there. Let's see. And here's a brilliant statement. What's the root cause? Don't clog your arteries, man. Well, yeah, every single person that is suffering has clogged arteries, and don't fix it. Get that con out of my face. Man. The NASA logo is a snake tongue. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that belief, but it is interesting that every single space agency has that same logo. Very, very interesting. Was it duct tape that they were fixing their quacks with? No, it actually looked like Scotch tape or packing tape. How does tape get through the Orion belt? Boru with the great quote of the day. But how does tape get through the Orion belt? And then my Captain Kirk expression, nah, it doesn't fit. NASA becomes Satan with the snake tongue. Yeah. You got angry Michael Keaton Batman over there, I think. Let's see. The lunar module is hokey, tinfoil, duct tape. Absolutely. It just looks completely stupid. Let's see. That's space grade tape, Jeff. Space grade Scotch tape, ladies and gentlemen. Space grade Scotch tape. You know we've got it. No, it was Gorilla Tape, man. That's why it worked. Oh, NASCAR uses duct tape. Well, I don't think NASCAR ever claimed to leave Oregon. See, it was Gorilla Tape. Now that could get to the sun and back. Boom. Boy, everybody's on that red tongue of NASA. Would you sit inside a minivan inside a giant microwave for 2 days? No, I would not. Let's see. Look at the crappy flag logo. Yeah, the thing's a piece of crap, ladies and gentlemen. A total, complete piece of crap. Let's see what else we got here. I like these. That Jerry Reed song. Yeah, that's that silly. When you're hot, you're hot. When you're not, you're not. It's not actually that song. It was the Eastbound and Down song that I was quoting. You got to dodge them. You got to duck them. You got to keep that sucker trucking. You got to put that hammer down and give him hell. Not the greatest Jerry Reed impersonation ever, but when you're hot, you're hot. When you're not, you're not. Jerry Lee laughed like that. You can't put that corn in someone's face. Don't you want a little bit of the glory? See what it tastes like. Ladies and gentlemen, tape would melt. I'm going to go out on a limb, Cynthia, and say, yeah, tape would melt. I'm going to go out on a limb and say tape would melt. It looks like the lunar module was built with an erector set, and that's not a reference to the rocket. It reminds me of a giant vegetable steamer, says Tarot Tribe Casadega. Are you really at Casadega? It looks like you're really at Casadega. I love Casadega. I lived in Orlando, been there several times. I probably met you. Nice to see you in our audience tonight. Tracy Dyer is laughing and crying at the same time. Wow. That's part 2. It's like 3 hours, this video. And I'm through 1 hour, 20 minutes. Should I finish the rest of it? Or are you guys bored with this? Oh, she is in Casadega. Love Casadega. If you're anywhere near Orlando, Florida, go to the Casadega Spiritualist Encampment. Really, really cool place. All kinds of spiritualists there, believe it or not. Mediums. They've got a orb tour. They've got all kinds of metaphysical stuff. More. You can't throw a rock without hitting a crystal shop, and it bounce off and hit another crystal shop. So it's a pretty cool place to go. James says that the board created the special tape. And Tarot Tribe Casadega says, thank you and come again. That's what she said. Oh, get your head out of the gutter. That's what she said. Tarot Tribe Casadega said it. Don't try to blame that on me. I watched an interview with an Apollo astronaut, and he said that they had to be careful not to poke holes in the spacecraft. Yeah, yeah, but it protected them from the Van Allen radiation belts. And they asked this one the guy was in Apollo 8, I think, and they said to him, "Well, were you worried about going through the Van Allen radiation belts?" And he goes, "Well, I don't know if we went out far enough to go through the Van Allen radiation belts." He goes, "Oh, well, they're 15th. Oh, yeah, we went right through there then." Wait a minute. He's a damn astronaut, and he doesn't know that they went through the Van Allen radiation belts. Although all of them were trained to track telemetry. I don't know. Maybe he just forgot. Or maybe he told the truth and they didn't go far enough out to go through the Van Allen radiation belts because it was all a hoax. Thank you. Tarot Tribe Casadega says, keep going. Earth is amazing. Why would you want to leave it? Jeff Daugherty is the Christian whistleblower and then some. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Jama. Let's see. Runaway Train says yes. Just NASA's studio office makes it so much more interesting. Absolutely. I'm up for more. Good. We'll keep doing more. And yeah, it's interesting stuff, and we're really getting to the good stuff now. And I'll go ahead and finish it up. We'll probably have, by my estimation, a couple more shows on this. Jameis says yay. Perfect. So that's what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to bring you some more shows on this. I think we're going to have this weekend. I know I've said it before. This is a good question. Is the moon real? Richie says, more. Anyway, the G forces in order to leave Earth would rip your heart out. Look at an astronaut. Look at a fighter pilot. Notice anything? Yeah, I see where you're going with that. Thanks, Street King. It is terrific stuffs. Blowing up their spot, Jeff. I'm doing what I can, ladies and gentlemen. And speaking of good guys, Street King is one of our great police officers. Go to jeffreydaugherty.com and click on that flag logo that you see up there in the upper right-hand corner. And what they're going to do is they're going to give you a chance to order a soap subscription. And every time you order one, you get 20% off. And a deployed U.S. service person is going to get the same subscription for free. Freedom Soap, let freedom clean. I talked to you about the perf machine that I don't know what else to say, but it's borderline miraculous. Back, neck, Cynthia's back, Cynthia's leg. Call up Glenn Streeter. Talk to him about it. It is amazing technology. We're going to have a show on it before too long, and we'll give you the full skinny on it. But I am totally and completely amazed by what a great machine that it is. Let's see what else we got. What else we got? Ooh, ask a dead astronaut. Yeah. Ooh, I hate that. Let's see what else we got. Brilliance again. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that, Colin. Well, folks, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of Podcast Excellence. I appreciate you being here. It is very, very powerful information that we're looking at. I've got a lot more powerful information to bring to you about this and other subjects. I can't help but believe that we're really moving into another level here in 2020. RVS says, can't we blow up the moon? I think we've tried to blow it up before. I don't know about it because it has a lot of effect on this. So I don't think it'd be a good idea to blow up the moon. That's just me, though. All right, folks. We'll be back tomorrow with more Podcast Excellence. I'm trying to think if there's any other things I need to talk about. Nothing that I can think of right now. But I do hope that you'll subscribe to this channel. I hope that you will make sure that you're subscribed to this channel because people are being unsubscribed without their knowing it. And I've got a really interesting, I think I've cracked the code on what's going on with the dumb Democrats and the impeachment. And the Democrats don't have the patent on dumb, but I think I've got a video that I'm ready to roll out, and it's called I think I'm going to call it Circus of Donkeys. And I'm going to give you the lowdown on what the Democrats are trying to do from here through the Democratic convention that's going to be held in Milwaukee. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. We're going to tell you exactly what's going on. I'm going to put on my profit cap. And I think we're going to have Bill Hicks this weekend. And we're going to do a full, I'm going to go full-blown medium with Bill Hicks. And we'll hear what he has to say on the Dead Comics Society, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not predict false flags because I don't want to get into that business. But we appreciate you, Bill Hicks. We're going to have an interview with Bill Hicks. That's right. You heard it. We are going to have an interview with Bill Hicks. Ladies and gentlemen, for Cynthia L., I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. We're here to help you learn that you don't have original sin. You've got the spark of divinity within. We're here to help you realize that you're divine, you're sovereign, and you're free. We want you to realize that you can have life and life more abundant, and you can live in peace that passes all understanding. We are the last generation of real humans. And I know they say that winners write history. I say the heck with that. We're going to write a brand new, beautiful, powerful today and an even better tomorrow. We are winners. And we will keep winning, ladies and gentlemen. We're in the world-changing business, and that business is a booming as long as we get busy. For Cynthia, I'm Jeff. This is the Christian Whistleblower, and we'll see you again real soon. We appreciate you and salute you for being here, seeking after truth.